We know what is this Russian world.
Hello, my name is Anna, and I'm Ukrainian. I'm also a trustee of a charitable organization called Women Fight for Ukraine, and I'm here to support, obviously, Ukraine, and at the rally near Downing Street following the events at the Oval Office. So we actually have these rallies 3 times a week, and we always have it on Sundays. It just so happens that, obviously, for obvious reasons, given what happened in the Oval Office, and given the fact that our President Zelensky is now in the UK, all the Ukrainians gathered here, and not just Ukrainians but supporters of Ukraine, to show their support and solidarity and to raise our voices, because obviously we are trying to say that there shouldn't be anything decided about Ukraine and without Ukrainians. The Oval Office incident was obviously shocking to a lot of people. It was extremely heated. It was unpleasant to watch for Ukrainians. We feel slighted by the position of the officials of the United States of America, especially in light of the Budapest Memorandum, in which they obviously guaranteed our sovereignty and territorial integrity, and watching them trying to push our president and Ukraine into making some kind of a deal which wouldn't be favorable, to give up territories, to thank for what is actually due to us because there was a Budapest Memorandum signed, is extremely unpleasant. And we want the world to know that we're not happy with that, and we're looking for support. We're obviously grateful. We're grateful to especially the UK. We're glad to be here, as the UK is one of our biggest allies and supporters, but we don't want to give up our territories. We don't want to surrender on Russia's terms or on the US terms or on anybody's terms but Ukrainian people's terms.
Okay. My name's Graham, and I was shocked by what I saw on Friday, as the rest of the world saw, by 2 bullies, J.D. Vance as well as Trump, bullying Zelensky, who has been the bravest man in Europe for the past 3 years, and obviously before that. And I couldn't just stand by. I had to come here to show some kind of solidarity with the Ukrainians. And at this particular point, while the European leaders are meeting here in London, what an opportunity to show that we stand up to bullies. And that's why I'm here. We outnumber them. And that was, unfortunately, 2 bullies ganging up on 1 man that, I think, angered the world. Unfortunately, a lot of people in America, perhaps half, are not of that opinion, and it disgusts me.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Alyssa. I'm an American. I live in London, and I am so disgusted with the behavior of Trump Trump and Vance in the meeting with President Zelensky in the Oval Office. It was the most ashamed I have ever been of my country, and I want Ukrainians and the world to know that most Americans do not agree. Most Americans stand with Ukraine, and I despise our leadership. They are breaking apart allies that we have had for decades and isolating us to join with the brutal dictator Putin, which goes against everything we have always stood for as a nation. And I am here to support Ukraine and to support democracy against dictators. The Oval Office incident, I watched it and I was just shaking with rage and shame. I cannot believe the way that Trump and Vance treated President Zelensky. The leader of a country at war deserves, at bare minimum, respect. And they commented on his clothing and just completely parroted Putin's talking points. It was, I have been furious at our leadership for months, but I have never been as furious as I was in that moment. It was completely unacceptable, and it goes against everything the United States of America used to be. I hope to see the Trump regime overthrown and the United States go back to standing with Europe, to standing with Ukraine, and to standing against Russia and dictatorship. I think Europe is going to be more united. I can see what seems to be the leadership of Europe uniting to stand with Ukraine, and I admire them for sticking to their values. I am so sorry and I'm so ashamed that the United States is not standing with you, but I believe in Europe and I believe that the European Union will continue to do the right thing and that the people of America will support it, even if our leadership is not.
My name is Matthew. I'm here today to show solidarity and support with Ukraine. Sure. So today's rally held very regularly here, I think, mostly Sundays and Wednesdays. Bigger turnout than usual, obviously, with the events in the White House on Friday. I think it was really important that we came down and gave a big impression today with so many European leaders over in Downing Street. And following that incident, to me, it was one of the most shocking displays of diplomacy I've ever seen. It demonstrated in 10 minutes, I think, what many of us have been saying for a long time, which is Trump is not a reliable ally. The United States has given up their position as the preeminent power on the world and has abandoned many allies and supporters globally. And I think it is a dark day for Europe and democracies in general to have that man in the White House behaving in the way that he does and threatening friends and allies while saying that dictators and tyrants are actually his real friends. I think that's dark for Europe, and it's especially dark for the United States. Yeah, so trying to inject some humour into the protest today, you know, sometimes you need to bring a bit of light into the darkness. The sign said, "Make America Great Britain Again." Bit of a play on words to Trump's MAGA approach. The idea that Keir Starmer has actually decided to take a real lead amongst European leaders and is showing himself to be a real statesman and perhaps more a leader of the free world than the President of the United States, which is not something I thought I would ever see. Certainly not something I thought I would see Keir Starmer do. So very, very impressed with the position the British government has taken, very, very impressed with the position that Keir Starmer has taken, and I think it shows real unity of European powers and that we are at the forefront of European politics once again, which is a good thing. It's, I think, difficult because I don't think the Ukrainians have a choice. There is no backing down for them. To back down means death. It means the obliteration of their culture, their peoples. It means, you know, civilians being killed on the streets in the same way that they were in Bucha. So I don't think that there can be that stopping of the conflict because Russia will continue to push forward. The United States are obviously very important. They are the preeminent global power, the preeminent military power on the planet. They are meant to be an ally of us. This is something that's important to Europe. And I think Europe now needs to recognize that if the United States isn't going to support Ukraine, if it isn't going to push forward, then we need to step up our game. Collectively, we have provided more in defense than the United States have. I think it's something like 163 billion. It's maybe slightly more. We can do more. We have huge numbers of reserves in our back pocket. We can produce more. We can invigorate our economies through this act. But supporting Ukraine is not only the right thing to do from a political standpoint, it's morally right. We have an enemy on our doorstep who is determined to destabilize and break apart our unity and sees European solidarity, sees European democracy as a direct threat to their existence and their way of life. If we don't wake up soon, if we don't recognize that threat and realize that the war is already on our doorstep, it's not waving from the distant Ukraine anymore, it's not some far off land, it is here. You know, assassinations have taken place on British streets. There are assassinations in Romania, there are attacks in Germany, the breakdown of railways. We know that the Russians are operating here, we know that their disinformation sphere is happening all across Europe, we know that they're trying to influence our politics. If we don't act now, it will be boots on the ground next. You know, Poland didn't order 500 tanks because it thought that Russia would stop at Ukraine. It ordered 500 tanks because it knows it's next. The Baltic states haven't given so much to Ukraine because they think it will end the war. They've given it because they see the Ukrainians as that bulwark against that next Russian step. Every time we in the West, and that includes the United States, it includes Europe, have backed off, have let Russia act with impunity, we've had escalation. It started with Georgia, and again in Ukraine, in Crimea, we've had the invasion. If we back down again now, it will happen again, and it will spark that conflict that none of us really want to happen, that World War III. And that's why we need America to come back to the table. It's why the mineral deal is great and important, and if Trump doesn't want it, then maybe we in Europe should sign that. Maybe we in Europe should take those minerals, protect them, have our people there, and help defend our interests, because this is in our interest. And if America has negated that fact, if they've backed away, if they've decided they do not want to be part of the free world anymore, then it is up to us to lead that world forward.